Feeling a little art craft crazy? Hi, I'm Donna from Art Craft Crazy, and today I'm going to show you how to use deli paper to make background pages for your junk journals. I've got a couple of different ways. The first way is to just use a stencil. So I've got some very lightly coloured butterflies on this page, and I've done it deliberately like that so it's just nice and soft. I've used a full size 12 by 12 stencil sheet to do this and some distress inks. This one here I've gone in a bit darker, so it shows you that you can have control using this method, so you can go from light to dark. And if you were to fold that over and cut it where you want it, you get a really lovely page for your journal. That's one method. The second method is to show you how I used the deli paper and a tissue napkin. So I've just lined the back of the napkin or the tissue paper. I'm not sure, everyone calls it different, and I'll show you how I've done that as well. Still gives you a nice light page, and it looks pretty good in your journals. Now this is a continuation on how I use the deli paper to make some envelopes. So be sure and watch that video as well. Okay, so what I've done is I've made a hinge here with my stencil just by putting some washi tape here. So I'm just going to turn that over, get a piece of the deli paper and just line it up there, and just use my washi tape to hold that down. Close that back over, and I'll just gently start colouring. Now I'm going to use a light colour first. So this is the tea dye distress ink, and I'll zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Right, so I'm just getting some of the distress ink on my brush, and I'll start in the centre. If you want it to be a bit darker, you can hold the head of your brush, and I'm just going to start swirling that around. It's up to you. See how light that is? It is up to you to how dark you want this. Like I said, you can do it light and you can do it dark. There's some lighter bits and some darker bits, and you can control it using these brushes. These are makeup brushes, and using these brushes you can control where you want your colour to go. So I'll keep going with that. If you want to take a bit of colour off, put it on your stencil first, but just start colouring. I start colouring lightly all the way around and get as many as the butterflies as I can. Just lightly. Up here I'm going to fade it right out lightly without putting any more of the ink on. Let's have a look. That's too light, so I need to come back in a little bit darker. Keep it light and keep checking it so you can see whether or not that's how light you want it. Just add a little bit more, a little bit at a time. Now I'm pretty happy with that. And just keep doing that all the way through your stencil. Doesn't matter what stencil you use, this method will work. Now this big butterfly here, I'm going to make lighter and darker. So I'm just going to get my brush and go towards the edges and just keep loading it up with the ink and just staying around the outside of the butterfly. Doesn't matter if you get some of the other butterflies, because that's the hit and miss look that we want. Okay, have another look. So you've got the nice light in the middle and dark on the edges. So continue on until you've got all your butterflies done. Just swing that over like a page, and that gives me a good look at how I want. Now this is nice and subtle, so I'm pretty happy with that. I know that I can use that as a page in my book. You can use as many colours as you like, but if you just want something nice and subtle like that, just keep that at a lighter colour. So that's the tea dye, the faded butterfly pages. This is a rose stencil, which is going to give me this one here. Same again, if you, depending on your pages, how big your pages are, you sort of know that they're going to fit where they're going to fit. So you can put your flower or your prominent piece of artwork exactly where you want it. This time I'll use the antique linen. Take some off till I work out how dark I need this to go. So I'm going to start off lightly. Perfect. A little bit darker there and very, very light there. Just to have something very subtle for your page. Now I'm going to put a few butterflies on this one, but I'm going to do them very, very, very light. And I'm not going to do them anywhere near where I've got the flower. So I'm just going to put a very slight hint of the butterflies. Perfect. So there is my next page. If I was to fold that, where it's going to be a page that shows me that I've got some rose there and some butterfly on that side and a little bit of the faint butterfly on this side. I love doing my pages like this. They turn out really, really nice, and it just gives me another look for that deli paper. Now I'll show you the next method, which is just dragging some colour across your page. I'll just hold this down again. This time I'll use the antique linen and just drag that across the paper. Come down the other way. Let them go crooked, don't try to be straight. Just be as random as you want to be. Now you've got to let this dry before you go in and do your next step. So we'll let that dry and we'll come back and put some more to it. Now that's dry. There's a little bit damp there, but it's still dry enough for me to use. So I'm just going to add some of this text stamp, and I do want it to be random, so I don't want it to be like a neat stamp. So I'm just going to use the vintage photo, and I'm going to plonk that down on here and just press it randomly. And each time I do this, it's going to look different because of the, you know, the no care factor of how I'm doing it. So that's the start of a nice background piece of paper. You can stop there or you can keep going. But if you fold that over, you see what the page would look like. So that's another method and a way that you can colour a background piece of deli paper for your pages. Now I'll show you the next one, which is using the deli paper plus some napkin or tissue. I received some happy mail from Heather at Ideas to Come, so I've used her napkins This one here would be nice. It's just a colour that would suit this. So I'll use this. So you just open up your tissue and you've got to remove the backing of the tissue. And we call them napkins in Australia. So I know that lots and lots of people use this method. Well, this method of the tissue paper, that is. I'm not sure that I've seen anybody do exactly what I'm going to do with this deli paper. So the thinner this is, the better this will work. So I'm just going to get some sticky tape and just check and see that this has another ply to it. And if it doesn't, it's not going to lift up, which means it's only a 2-ply tissue. So you just get some sticky tape, and when you press it on there, it'll lift off another sheet if there is another layer there. This one hasn't, so it's only a 2-ply piece. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some spray adhesive, and I'm just going to spray this surface and then lay this tissue over the top. And from a distance, I'm going to spray very lightly. You don't need much at all. Now, like I showed you, I just used the Helmer's spray adhesive, and this is pretty good. It dries clear, and you can move it around before it grabs. And once you can reposition it, and then once you've got it where you want it, it'll dry permanently. So I've just put my coated sheet there, and I'm just going to get my tissue. I'm going to work out the best bits that I want, and I'm just going to lay it over the top. Like I said, it's repositionable. If you put it where you don't want it, just move it. So I'm going to start from the center and start pushing it out so I can try and get rid of some of the creases that are in the tissue. That's why I like using this spray glue, because you can reposition it to get it right. Because everything we do that is hand done adds a bit of character. So just once you've got it where you want it, just continue to smooth it out. You've got a little bit of left over, so you just cut that off. So I'll just leave it like that, and there's my page ready to be cut. So if I roll that over that way, I've got a page. So it just then needs to be cut to the size of the page in your book. Say this book, that the signatures that I'm making, this is one signature. You put several signatures together. Just get a letter size page, or A4 if you're using A4. I'm just making this particular one in letter size, and I can see exactly where I want to place this to get my page. I can still use this for some collage, and just cut all the way around. Okay, so there's my page, the deli paper on the back. Then fold your page over as you normally would, crease it down, and you've got a page which is just something that little bit different. And if you want to sit that page next to another page of just the deli paper, it would, transition really well. It would look nice. So I'm just going to crease that down, and then I'd work out again where I want this page to be. Cut that out, and you've got an extra page. And that gives you another page to add in your signature. Just gives you something that little bit different. See that? It just works. So you could put two of these light pages together, or you could move them apart. Pop them in your book. There you have it. I think that looks pretty good. Just as a bonus, here's another page style that you can do. Get your deli paper, get your full sheet, and just fold it up at the bottom to form a pocket, like that. And I've just, for decoration purposes, I've just put 2 holes in there and used my reinforcers on both sides just to add a bit of interest, and run a bead of glue here and just put a stamp over that just to cover up where the glue went. And it's as easy as working out where you're going to put it, and you only need a few dots. You don't need to go crazy with this because it's just going to hold it into place. Just want a clear glue, don't want anything over the top. See how if you only use a little bit, it will grab and it'll not look so obvious that you've glued it. So there's another page idea for you. From plain to something a little more jazzed up. What I've done with this one is made a matching tag to go with this signature, and you would pop that in there, and there's the matching tag to the cover of the signature, and it looks really nice being able to be seen through this deli paper. And that's the other side. So there's a bonus page for you. Just gives you something that little bit different. Give it a whirl if you've got a pile of deli paper. Get your stamps out, get your distress ink out, and start colouring those deli pages. I'm Donna from Art Craft Crazy. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.